Hey guys, what is up? I hope you're having a fantastic day so far, and I am here to answer a question that has been on everybody's mind lately, and that is Peridot shrinking? And the answer to that is no. No, she is not. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, but seriously, I have seen a lot of people trying to come up with theories as to why Peridot is seemingly getting smaller. I've seen some theories that say that she is shrinking because her form is based on her emotional state, so when she feels small, this reflects in her form. But we know that in Too Short to Ride, Peridot says that Era 2 gems don't have the ability to shapeshift.
They can't make gems like they used to. That's why they give Era 2 Peridot's technological enhancements. Because we don't have powers.
Another popular theory that I've seen is that the atmosphere and gravity of the Earth is putting pressure on Peridot, and that is causing her to shrink. But we know from It Could Have Been Great that gems adjust to the gravity of whatever planet they are on. None of the gems shrink or stretch to adjust to the moon's gravity in that episode, so the Earth's atmosphere and gravity affecting Peridot is pretty unlikely.
Hey, why can't I be a moon boy? We're gems. We're a spacefaring race designed to conquer other worlds. Our physical forms adjust automatically to the gravity of any planetoid.
Which brings me to the point of this video, storyboarding. Now, I don't know how much you guys know about the production of the show and how an episode is made, but with a lot of people bringing up the varying character designs and heights in certain episodes, I thought it would be a good idea to walk you guys through the process of how an episode is made and why the characters may look a little different from episode to episode. And please keep in mind that I do not work on the show, so I am not completely 100% sure of the entire process of making an episode, but based on interviews and information provided by Rebecca Sugar and the Crewniverse, I have a pretty good idea how the process of storyboarding works. So with that, let's dive into the art of storyboarding. Now, Steven Universe has always been a show that has prided itself on being storyboard driven, but what does that mean? Basically, the storyboard artists are the ones who drive the episodes and are given artistic freedom for the episodes they work on, meaning that storyboard artists are the ones who are creating the dialogue, blocking out the shots, choreographing the action and fight scenes. But how exactly do we get to this point? Well, Rebecca Sugar, being the creator of Steven Universe, has a general idea of the direction she wants the show to go. So when she gets an idea for a new episode, she brings in her writers, Matt Burnett and Ben Levin, to create an outline for the episode. An outline is basically a general idea of what the episode will be about. Once the outline is complete, it is passed down to the storyboarders. Now, storyboarders typically work in pairs, although there are the occasional times where 3 or more boarders, a director, or Rebecca herself will help board an episode. These pairs typically stay the same, though there might be a switch here or there. As of right now in the show, these are the partners that usually work together. Now, it is worth noting that the episode Mr. Greg was the last time that Jeff Liu and Joe Johnston worked together as storyboarders. Joe got promoted to being a supervising director on the show, and then Colin Howard came in and became Jeff's new board partner. So I'll leave all the pairs up here for a few seconds so that way you could pause and see some of the notable episodes that each of the storyboard pairs have done. So after the storyboarders get an outline, they begin planning the episode and making notes. Colin Howard actually showed what one of these outlines looks like, and it was from the episode Kiki's Pizza Delivery Service, the very first episode that he ever boarded, and this image is on Twitter. Now, I recommend that you go check the tweet out for yourself, but if you notice, there's little to no dialogue present in the outline. And any dialogue that is in the outline has either been changed or removed for the final episode that ended up airing, meaning that storyboarders have a lot of artistic freedom to change and adjust the episode where they see fit. From here, the boarders begin working on the episode and start creating some rough sketches for their storyboards. The boarders working on the episode then pitch what they have to the rest of the Crewniverse and then receive feedback on their initial pass of the episode and then adjust and make changes accordingly based on that feedback. Once the episode gets approved, this is where the voice actors come in and record the dialogue. And along with the script, the voice actors also get to see the storyboards in an animatic, so that way they get a sense of the scene for their performance. Now, some of you may not know this, but Steven Universe isn't actually animated in the US. It's actually animated in South Korea. What happens is the storyboarders basically block out the key positions and poses of the characters and how the shot will look. But from there, the storyboards are sent to South Korea, and the animation team hand draws all the key images and in-betweens for the episode. For every 11-minute episode, there are over 10,000 hand-drawn frames. 10,000! And then once all those frames are drawn out, they get sent back to the US. And then from there, the frames are scanned into a computer where they get colored. And I highly recommend that you check out the How to Draw Pearl video on Cartoon Network's channel, and the Mr. Greg Storyboard to Final Animation video on MK Atwood's channel, as these both do a great job of demonstrating and explaining how you go from storyboards to final animation. So I will link both of those in the description box below if you guys want to check them out. Now, looking back at the process of storyboarding, the storyboard artists really are the ones who are in control of how the characters look. From the storyboards, the animation team in South Korea uses those to animate the rest of the episode. So those storyboards really are a huge impact on how the character will look for the rest of the episode. Now, I'm not going to show how every storyboard artist draws every character. For this video, I'll just focus on Peridot and Lapis, since most people seem to have an issue during the most recent episode, Room for Ruby. But if you are really curious about the Crewniverse and how they draw other characters, searching how the Crewniverse draws
insert character name here,
you'll get plenty of results. So let's look at Room for Ruby. Now, Room for Ruby was actually the first episode where Raven Malisi and Lauren Zook boarded together. In fact, this was the first time in the show that Raven was paired with someone else other than Paul Villico. Raven and Paul have been paired together since Frybo, one of the very first episodes of the show, and working with someone that long definitely has a sense of familiarity, so when Lauren got paired with her, boarding with someone new could have really affected the episode. But honestly, I think Raven and Lauren did a great job. I liked how this episode developed Lapis's character, I thought all of the jokes landed, and this episode finally progressed the Rubies in Space issue. But the one major complaint that this episode seems to be getting is how the characters differ in size and appearance. Now, as I said before, I am really only going to be looking at Peridot and Lapis, since these two characters seem to be getting the most criticism for this episode. And from what I can tell, it seems like Lauren took the first half of the episode and Raven took the second half. If we look at Peridot and Lapis in the first half of Room for Ruby, we see that the size difference between Peridot and Lapis is pretty reasonable, and the way both characters are drawn are in Lauren Zook's style. The eyes are typically larger with smaller pupils, Peridot hair is messy at the corners of her triangle hair, and the same goes for Lapis. Zook's Lapis typically has messier hair, having spiky hair in the back and front. Zook seems to have boarded up until Lapis teaches Navy how to sleep, and then BAM! Different character design. Raven typically draws the characters with larger pupils than Zook, and also seems to draw Peridot smaller, along with her hair being larger and lacking the messy corners in her hair. With Lapis, her face seems to be slightly longer, and her hair doesn't have the spikes in it, instead having a more flowy, rounded look, especially in the front just above her bangs. And for reference, I'll put a comparison of Peridot and Lapis, drawn by both Lauren and Raven, side by side, so you guys can compare and contrast. Now, for me personally, I have never really taken issue with how characters will look different from episode to episode, because the characters will usually stay consistent in their design throughout the entire episode. And usually this is because two boarders will draw the character in a similar way and work well together, leading them to become boarding partners. Since this was both Lauren and Raven's first time being paired together, it made the sudden change in character design and height pretty noticeable halfway through the episode, rather than having a more consistent design through the whole episode with a familiar boarding partner. Although I think when the gang boards the Ruby ship with Navy, the designs look far more similar. Like, this frame here looks more consistent than this frame here that we saw earlier in the episode. But when it comes to the criticism of the character designs looking different and the heights not always being consistent, I personally don't care that much. That's not to say that I don't take notice when a design changes suddenly or Peridot gets noticeably smaller in the next scene. It can be a little distracting at times. And if you're someone who takes issue with the inconsistencies with the character designs, that's totally fine, and I completely understand where you're coming from. But for me, I respect and admire the amount of freedom that Rebecca Sugar gives her storyboarders. Many other cartoon shows out there do not give this kind of freedom to their crew or even allow the show to be storyboard driven. But Rebecca Sugar does. Rebecca wants her crew to be able to have artistic freedom when they work on an episode, because she acknowledges that while she may be the creator of the show, her cast and crew have so many wonderful and unique experiences and characteristics that translates into their work, and she wants that to be present in the show. She wants to celebrate the diversity of her crew in the episodes that they work on. Sure, there may be some inconsistencies in designs or the height of the characters, but just acknowledge that those inconsistencies are there because the Crewniverse members have been given the wonderful opportunity to work in an inclusive and supportive environment that celebrates and encourages diversity. And at the end of the day, isn't that what Steven Universe is all about? Love, acceptance, and diversity? Rebecca Sugar and the Crewniverse have created a show that without a doubt will be looked back on with fondness and critical acclaim for the messages it encourages and the lessons it teaches. But perhaps one of the most amazing things besides the show itself is the work environment that is built on the same principles of the show: love, acceptance, and diversity. So thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Steven Universe related content. And until next time, guys, take care.